Fantastic, Audrey. Thank you so much for sharing those incredibly inspiring words. And as Audrey has said, we are united today to build a more inclusive society for and with our next generation. Since we last gathered here, we have seen young people demonstrate their leadership again and again. Thousands of young people take to the streets to create urgency for climate justice every Friday. We have seen social media campaigns to connect us in advocacy when we could not be connected physically. More young people run for public office than ever before, all to challenge systems which need to urgently transition for a more just and equitable future. So I think the stage is ready. Yes, it is. Fantastic. We'd like to open today with 3 amazing young people who are truly changing the world. It's my honor to introduce to all of you and to our virtual audience around the world, Camille, Étienne, activist for climate justice. We have Camille Aumont, Carnel, feminist activist for female pleasure. And last but not least, Anuna de Wever van der Heyden, climate activist.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us today. It is amazing to kick off this session, and today's conversation is about the things we don't talk about enough. And although we talk about it quite a lot, today I want to talk about leadership. And honestly, it is strange to be talking about leadership in a positive sense, as over the past few weeks, I have done nothing but called out the lies and the inconsistency and the greenwashing of our so-called leaders at COP26. For example, our Belgian Prime Minister at COP26, who came to tell everyone that Belgium is an international example, while at the same time, we don't even have a national agreement on climate. We didn't sign the High Ambition Coalition. We didn't put any pressure on the international targets. And this is the greenwashing and the lies and the inconsistency and the dishonesty that we see with our leaders every day. But I do want to be talking about leadership, because I think it is important for us young people to remind you of what true leadership looks like to us. Very often, just like today, we enter spaces which are built on foundations of colonialism and white supremacy, with people present that are directly complicit in the injustice and the horrible realities people have to live in today. The executives that I will be sharing the stage with today from corporations which make profit out of environmental degradation, oppression, hate, and divide are not exactly representatives of the kind of leadership that I look up to. Because of the reality we are in today, it is not enough anymore to just talk about the climate and human rights crisis and the importance of inclusivity in exclusive summits and events. We cannot just do it when it's convenient to us. We need to start talking about it every single day. The whole point is that we must all become uncomfortable in our privilege and understand the responsibility that we have. For example, we all know that equal and meaningful participation of women and people of color in climate negotiations is crucial if we want to succeed. Still, most of the important climate negotiations are all predominantly white and male-dominated. In 2020, women government delegates occupied on average only 33% of all constituent body positions in climate negotiations. While at the previous COP, for example, COP25 in Madrid, 73% of deputy heads of delegations were men. We can see that the patterns of inequality of people of color, women, gender diverse people, and indigenous people are just being continued in the decisions and negotiations today. Also, in spaces that are supposed to change that. Same goes for indigenous people. When I was in the Amazon, I met incredible indigenous leaders. And we were working together on building alliances between experts, activists, young people to save the Amazon forest. At some point, we were hosting speeches, and an amazing indigenous leader stands up and she starts crying. She started crying because she was dying of cancer, and her entire community was dying of cancer. And at some point, she looked at me and she said, "You are killing my people. You are killing my people." Because her community was dying because the river that they all lived from was intoxicated by gold mines that were put there by the Western world. And obviously, she was not talking about me as a person, but she was talking about the civilization and the institutions that I represent. So in order to change the system that we are all talking about, we are all going to need to step up our game. I feel like now, after the failure at COP, a new chapter of activism has begun. And instead of just talking and pressuring, we're going to have to start breaking down existing norms, laws, and contracts if we are really serious about this system change. As young people, we are brave enough to dream of a different world outside of the existing rules that brought us into this mess in the first place. We want to challenge the blueprint because we understand that it doesn't work. And to end with a quote of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at COP, the leadership that got us here won't be the leadership that gets us out. Thank you.
She killed it, right? I love her. So I'm French, so my English is obviously terrible, so sorry for that, but I will do my best. First, I know it's early in the morning, but I will still ask you to close your eyes. For a little moment, don't worry. Close your eyes and try to imagine the whole story of the universe. That's hard. So to make it simple, we can just think of it as a year. That means the life wheel appears in September, the dinosaur in December, and us, human, are here since the 10 last second. And in this 10 seconds, we just need to take the last second to sum up the shit we're in, because that's the beginning of the industrial age. You can now open your eyes and see. Then in this very brief moment of time, we managed to destroy the whole life. We managed to reinverse the Gulf Stream. We managed to make this huge glacier, this monster, failed and starting dying. We managed to begin the 6th mass extinction. We are currently losing species as fast as we were losing them in the 5th mass extinction. I don't know if you guys realize this. So for me, when I first realized, it felt strange. It felt strange because I grew up in a very beautiful place in the mountain in Savoie, near a ski resort, and was just a small chalet, and we couldn't go up to the school without taking we can't take the car to go there. There was too much snow, so we had to ski there. Or that was really fun. And every day I see this huge glacier in front of me. Every summer I had like a friend who died there because it was too dangerous. And every day it reminds me how little we were and how fragile we were. Remind you the song. And so for me it was impossible to imagine that us, little humans, so vulnerable, were actually the one causing the extinction of all that I loved, the mountains. So once you realize that we created the destruction of ourselves, that we are responsible of our own loss, then you feel so much injustice for the other generation before us, for the people who knew it, but just close their eyes, and you start feeling angry and scared. We are not only just destroying nature, we are really destroying ourselves, because we are the nature, and so if it disappears, we are just disappearing as well. It's not any more question of future generation. You know, sometimes we said we are fighting for our children, and I don't ever need this. There's enough reason today to feel upset and to start raising your voice and bringing people into action. It's not a question of future generation for the poorest people at the other side of the world who are currently facing, and as Anuna said, dying because of what we've done as a civilization. And even this summer, in Belgium, I went to see the flooding. And I met a girl who was my age, and she said, just me, I would never think I would be a climate victim today. It's unreal. It was supposed to be for people far away. It was supposed to be just behind my TV screen. And it's happening. You know, I realized something, starting to be into action for quite some time now, even if I'm still 23, so yeah. But I realized that power is something you left to other, and other always mean nowadays men, right, rich, this, or you take this power. And I guess we are now in history at the point that we have to take the power as people. To finish, I will just sum up that we always speak about inaction, you know, our political leaders, inaction, but actually I think we get it wrong. This has been a deliberative action against the living. If you just look up to the recent study about Total, who knew that fossil fuel was going to create all this mess, and they pay people to just hide the truth. This is what happened. So we need to get organized all together. We need to start going in resistance. In the question before talking, we had some questions that we need to address today, and one of them was, who actually inspired you? And I would answer this girl here, Anuna, because she's here, and I think it's something we need to do, is like being all together, being in sorority, especially as women. And she inspired me because she ate, as I do, compromise. And there's some reality that we cannot just arrange. Climate change, tipping point, degrees that are rising, sea level that is rising, flooding, fires. We can't change this. That's reality. What is a fiction is the economic, political system we live in, and this we can change. So I can't stand when people just say, it's too complicated, you know, it's too big, it's too long. We are the one that have the power to change this, and we have the duty to do it. And to end in France, when we talk about radicality, actually radicality comes from racine, which means roots. And it's what we need to do. Being radical, meaning going at the very roots of what caused all this mess. And that's domination against Black people, against women, against nature, against minorities. We need to address this domination system altogether. And now I would just ask you a lot of stuff this morning. I will count from 1 to 3, and when I say 3, you will just clap in your hand. You get it? Yeah, okay. So 1, 2, 3. You see, action is stronger than words.
J'adore. Rien à dire. Good morning, everyone. I am Camille Aumont Carnel. I am 6.1 feet without heels. I am a big clit energy woman, and I have on my possession a huge pair of ovaries that I can put on the table just like that. I had an entrance prepared where I was supposed to be 30 seconds late, running, and with a t-shirt, sorry, I'm late, I just masturbate. But, which is actually the most credible excuse to apologize at a meeting because no one is going to question it, because everyone is going to be so embarrassed and we are going to move on pretty fast. And then I realized that I had 5 minutes of speech and not any wish of, just missing time. I would love to thank the Women's Forum and all the person because I can't imagine how hard it must have been to build this event and all the organization behind it. So thank you so much. Thank you also about the fact that you thought about me because we are going to talk about sex. Can we please talk about sex and entrepreneurship? Can we please just talk about the link between feeling powerful in your own sexuality and feeling empowered in entrepreneurship? When I hear women talk and debate about how make other women feel empowered, it's usually through economic independence, high-ranking positions, and having and using their voice, but never by taking charge of their sexuality. Taking charge of your own sexuality can also go through accepting that you can find sex boring, or sometimes you just don't like it. Taking charge of your own sexuality is finding that you don't need anyone's permission to search, to explore, to fuck, to make love to yourself, to fuck yourself, and to have sex with yourself. In my own sexuality, when I listen to myself and respect my own boundaries, I'm much more able to do it in my work area. Accepting and loving my body helped me face all the vagaries of entrepreneurship. The way I'm no longer scared of my own desire is related to the way I'm no longer scared about power. Peaks of high sex drive have the same intensity as the periods for high creativity and motivation for me. Masturbation has become a therapy when I have challenging meetings, stressful presentation as today, or when I need to enter in a room full of sexist and misogynist and racist men. Thanks to orgasm, I present myself with a natural glow, my best Beyoncé walk, and being scared of no one but my own ego. Please, just take time and spend time building those bridges between your sex life and your boss life. Spend time figuring out how you want them to be, shaping them, and finally introduce yourself to them. I have a dream that someday, shouting, "Yeah, right, I'm just going to empty my menstrual cup in the middle of a working space," will make as much reaction as, "Can you just add an extra avocado to my order at Sweet Green, please?" Which is actually none. I have a dream that someday, when I'll have kids, they'll be, come on, mama, really? You really just created an Instagram account to talk about sexual taboos and body positivism? Oh, come on. In French, to say that something is old-fashioned and outdated, teens say, "C'est so 2000. And finally, I dream that someday sex will only be empowering, fun, and with consent, and not something that can sometimes make you feel less. Let me remind you, all of the people in this room that have a vagina, women, cisgenders or transgenders, but also non-binary and gender-fluid people, that we have discharge in our thong sometimes, that we have periods with clots, pubes, we have underarms odor, and sometimes we get wet. I think it is time to bring those topics outside of social media. Because whether you are not embarrassed right now, these subjects, these are normal topics. So let's make them normal together, please.
Thank you so much to our incredible young leaders, Camille, and Anuna. Thank you so much. It's just been mwah, mwah, and a mwah. Please, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for these wonderful young women. They are showing us the way, and with a welcoming, sobering challenges as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Thank you. Thank you so much.